her business, Serenity Nail Polish. Again, they not like us. We can no longer use the same strategies that our parents use. Definitely not what our grandparents use. So I am here to help you, and you can DM me the word action, because we're ready to get started. A lot of people tell me that I inspire them, but I want to be aspirational, meaning that I want you to take action. So DM me the word action so we could get started today, right? We could get started today in setting your goals and creating your action plan so that you can be impactful as well for your leadership journey. Okay, and of course, as always, I invite folks to come on because I think it's important that we share the different leaders that we have in our community who are being impactful, and their willingness to share the journey and their strategies to help you get started today. And so I'm going to, if you send a request, let me see. I'm going to invite you on, Christina, in this live. So you can either accept. Oh, okay.
I want to move.
Girl, let me tell you, I feel like every time I go live, I learn something new. So I'm like, you know what? Let me say how to invite and see.
Listen, that's how you learn. You sometimes I learn on the fly. I learn by doing.
Uh-huh.
And it to God be the glory. Most times it works out, but then sometimes, you gotta pivot with grace.
Tell me about it. Tell me. That was a strategy that someone shared the other day. Like, you got to know how to pivot.
Listen, as a leader, outside of being a leader, being a parent, or just even with yourself, you have to learn how to pivot and embrace change and still have one foot grounded while the other foot is making that turn.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thank you for joining us today. This is a Lunch and Learn series, and I'm aware that some that we're actually on lunch break. So I definitely want to be respectful of your time. So I want you to tell the people who you are. Tell them who you are.
Oh, listen, tell people who I am. I thank God for my friends that I have because usually I'm like, hi, I'm Juanita. And I just say my name and I leave it at that, right? And so one of my close friends, Janice McLean, AP Janice McLean, she'd be like, no, make sure you tell them that you are Minister Juanita Walters, right? Make sure you tell them that you're an author, you are a mother. Make sure that you tell them that you're a poet. Make sure that, you speak of how you work in the community. You're a mental health advocate. So, and most importantly, I'm a woman and a child of God, right? That is definitely my foundation outside of all titles. Again, at the foundation is I'm a woman of God and I am Juanita. That's what's on my birth certificate before any leadership title, any
Yes.
mother title. But and I'm currently an assistant principal in Bushwick, Brooklyn.
Okay. Listen, that's what leadership is all about, because to your point, it's not about a singular title. And I'm glad that you shared the full aspect of who you are, because again, far too often, we think leadership is only about a supervisory title, right? But you're a leader within your faith. You're a leader in your home, right? You wear many different hats, and I know you, and we always go through this. Like, what you want me to call you, girl? Juanita, Christina, what you want?
And you know what? They're all my legal names, right? So like Juanita is my first name, and when you see Christina Deru is also my middle name, and that's again like I'm the only one, right? I have five siblings,
Hmm.
and out of my five siblings, I'm the only one that has three names. My first name, my two middle names, and then my last name. I'm the only one. So when it comes to like being different, I feel like from birth God made me different. So when you know that scripture of peculiar people, I'm like, yeah, that's me. I'm different. So yes, I have Christina Deru as well because that's on every legal document that you're gonna find on me.
Got you. Okay, so tell the viewers about your impact, because in unpacking the leadership journey and redefining leadership on the Powerhouse Leadership Series, we talk about impact because we know, again, they're not like us. So we're not here to just focus on the accolades and, again, supervising people, managing people. Let's talk about the impact, because effective leadership is about your impact on others. So tell us about a time, where you felt you were most impactful with others.
Before I say that, I'm going to say this one thing before I got on with you. You know, I prayed about it. So I'm like, oh God, what am I going to say? And one of the things that God gave me, right, was that before you can have impact with others, right, before you can go out and impact students, families, and those around you, you got to first impact yourself, right? So
Mm.
the work starts with you, right? The inner you, being able to sit with yourself and say, well, who am I? Right? And get to the root of who you are and what God gifted you in and your different abilities. And you have to own that first because you are your first. I don't want to say project, but you're the first person that you see each and every day, right? And so when people encounter you, they should see the strategies and the impact that you make on you first.
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell me what you do, show me. Right?
Mm.
You have to walk it out. You have to be that model. You have to be that example because people could tell you anything, right? But if they're not actually walking it out, where it's like you telling me about a strategy that you don't even implement in your own life, why? How sway, right? So I think like the first part is just like being able to have impact in your own personal life, in your own self, in your own home before you can go out and impact the world. And I
Listen,
think like
I
for
I love that. I absolutely love that. Because the thing that I feel people don't understand about leadership is all about you. So you hit it on the head. And what Christina is saying, Juanita is saying, it's resonating with you. You guys know I'm shine. So I want you to drop some sunshine emojis in the chat. But again, that's what I lead with, right? You have to learn to leverage the business of you, right? But that's taking stock of who you are. And like you said, tapping into your inner self and making sure that you impact you and are just able to live out or live up to everything that you say. So I absolutely love that, because people should see you and automatically know what you are about and what you represent. So thank you for sharing that, because I do believe that first the impact begins with you. Hence why I'm focused on leadership development being about you, and that's why it's not about a title, right? So if we think that leadership development is, your specific title or your specific content, it's all about you, which is why I learned that it is a transferable skills. So yes, educator, author, entrepreneur, it doesn't matter the area you're in, I can help you. So DM me the word action so we can get started today, because leadership development is about the impact that you have on yourself and your leadership journey. So I definitely appreciate you for highlighting that, and sharing that. Is there anything else you wanted to share on impact, or did you want to talk about something within the journey?
so just to to touch on impact, where I say like you start with you, right? Because my children, my students, my teachers, and my community see that I start with myself. That also gives them permission to advocate and start for themselves. So the impact that I see, I've seen teachers that started out on a tip or started out in a place where they didn't believe in themselves, where now they not only are they off that, but like they've gone and got certifications in
I
other
love
areas.
it.
They come and say, "Hey, Miss Walters, instead of now me having to lead them to the water, now they go and seek out the water themselves and they go do it themselves." Even with my students go and they advocate for themselves, or they step in and own who they are, and they'll come to me, with the leadership series for our children that we did with Cheryl Prince, where our students were taking ownership of the businesses that they were creating, and they were confident in that, right? And that came from like, a place of like, well, I see Miss Walters do it. Miss Walters believes in me, and then she gives me access to people that are doing what I want to do, right? So then that goes into that action step, right?
Hmm.
They see you do it, and then they take those action steps because now they believe, right? And
Hmm.
it's like, oh, well, if I see my leader walking it out, that means I can walk it out too. So you
Right.
sort of kind of become the blueprint, and then you all begin to learn in the process together.
I love it. I love it. And yeah, so, and I'm glad that you use the word action. I want you to type action in the chat if you believe that leadership is about taking action. So, again, as your executive leadership strategist, you can DM me the word action also so that we could get started today on your leadership journey. And speaking of journey, again, they not
Ooh,
like us. I'm redefining leadership. And I think for many of us, we focus on the end result. If we're in school, then we're celebrating the graduation, right? Or we have a job, we're celebrating the promotion. We're an entrepreneur, we're celebrating whenever we hit the milestone and maybe make six figures or seven figures, etc., right? But as a society, we're always focused on the end result. However, I think that more of us can come over or push through if we share more of the journey, right? The moments when it's tough, right? The moments when we sometimes feel like giving up, the moments when we cry in our car. I know I've done it before,
ooh,
right?
I have too.
So I just want to be real about the journey. Like leadership is a journey. And I personally love Beyonce. And even if you don't, that's fine if you don't like her music or whatever. But when you look at someone like that, she's constantly evolving, constantly reinventing herself. That is the journey. Like every time you have to grow and level up, because people love to use that word, level up. Well, guess what? It's hard because now you have to change and you have to move from being
Yes.
comfortable to uncomfortable. And it is in that and sitting in your uncomfortableness, right? I believe is what helps you to grow the most. So share with the viewers because again, on the Powerhouse Leadership Series, I want to delve more into the journey. And just so you know, this is just the beginning of what's to come. So I'm doing these lives, from 30 days just to get my feet wet and see. If you know me, I'm always working on the next something. But this is part of my journey and getting my feet wet into something that's new for me as well. But I want you to share a journey, something within your journey, your leadership journey that you feel comfortable sharing with the viewers today.
I never wanted to be a leader. Right? I never, like, you talk about somebody that had on their Air Jonas. I had on my Air Jonas, and I was running. I would hide. Like, it's just like, no, I'll do the work, but like, see me but don't see me, right?
Yes.
So, but you know, it takes people around you that see you and they call you out of your comfort zone or your comfortable place where you are okay with being the fly on the wall or the wallflower or behind the scenes. But they see the giftedness in you. They see the call of God on your life, and I'm gonna say, like, I'm grateful for Dr. Rochelle Hines and Dr. Dennis McKeesey, because I did not want to be a leader, but it's something that they saw in me and they held me accountable, and they still hold me accountable to this day, along with my tribe, along with you, and just watching your journey. So I never wanted to be a leader, but one thing that I had to get over was my self-limiting beliefs. Like, I was boxing my own stuff in, and you know, sometimes those conversations can happen with you when you feel like you've had to deal with rejection, where you've had to
Mm.
deal with your own inner voice, where you've had to deal with your own traumas, and whatever your situation and circumstances are, they start becoming self-limiting beliefs, and you kind of put yourself or pigeonhole yourself in this place where it's like, I can't do that. Am I qualified enough? And then here comes that sneaky thing, that imposter syndrome, where
Mm.
you're like, are they talking about me? And then, like, when
Right.
people start talking about your skills and your ability, you're like, wait, that's me? And then it's not until you really sit with yourself and you start, like, rolling back the table, like, oh, shoot, I did do that. I did do that. Oh, that is, you start saying, oh, wait, if God, you know, God made me. God don't make no mess, right? So he's going to equip and qualify me to walk in wherever he's called me to be in. And so I had to get over myself. I ain't had time to worry about no haters or other people. Like, who has time to do that? Like, I'm
Mm.
not focusing on the haters. I gotta deal with me, right?
Right.
And once I deal with me, like, that stuff becomes non-factors to you, right? People gonna talk. People, you know, they get tossed to and from by every fad and thing that happens. But once you're grounded and you have a solid understanding of who you are and a foundation of who you are, can nobody take that away. So
Mm.
then those self-limiting beliefs, like, start to dissipate, and you start walking it out, and you start owning it. And when you start owning it and you walk it out, confidence levels, God starts opening doors, because now he knows that you can handle it, because he's like, oh, she's gonna step out in faith. She knows who I called her to be. So, like, for me in my leadership journey, if I expected anybody to come along the journey and do the work with me and get in the trenches with me, they had to see that I believed in myself first. They had to see that I had a confidence and an understanding of who I am. I had to know my identity and who God called me to be. Nobody's gonna follow you if you don't know who you are.
Mm.
Who am I following?
Let's listen. This is a lunch and learn, but we just went to church, right? Powerful, powerful, powerful. So yes, I want you to type amen in the chat, right? Because it is absolutely powerful, right? Who has God called you to be? That's who you answer to, right? And you said a lot of powerful things in terms of, where this is sum it all up. We limit ourselves, right? Depending on the messaging that we give to ourselves. So that inner voice matters. Like, so what message are you sharing with yourself on a daily basis? Because to your point, yes, quote unquote haters exist. And I'm using that because I'm even learning to look at that differently, right? Those are just people who help me to grow, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're really just, fans who haven't admitted that they're fans at this point. Um, so again, what is your inner voice? What are the things that you're saying to yourself? Because this world in and of itself will beat you down. But when you are solid with who you are, as you said, and you listen to your inner voice, and you know what grounds you and what centers you, because everybody's different. But my power source is the man above, right? So whatever your power source is, but the journey is real. The struggle is real. imposter syndrome is a thing. And that's why, again, here in the Powerhouse Leadership Series, I want to cultivate redefining leadership and just opening up this space where we're supporting each other throughout our journeys, because it is a lifelong evolution, right? And who else better to help you than your executive leadership strategist? So DM me the word action so that we can get started today. So Lunch and Learn, we're just here for a short time during these segments. So I want you to leave the people with 3 strategies, 3 effective strategies that they can implement today to help them along with their leadership journey.
I would say the first thing is profess it. If
Mm.
that's your vision, profess it. Like you gotta say it and you gotta write it. What is the vision that God has given you? And once He's given you and downloaded that into your spirit, you make sure that you write it down. Write the vision and make it plain. You have to write it down, right? The second step is own it.
Mm.
once God he Once he gives you that vision and you write it down and you write the vision and you make it plain, you got to own it. That means that it becomes the fabric of your being. That means that you take that on as like, oh snap, God trusted me with that vision, right? So
Mm-hmm.
now I got to execute. So now the next step is I got to walk it out, right? So as I'm owning it, and that own it phase, that's my action plan phase. I'm writing
Mm.
it out. I'm writing out the steps. Who's gonna be the people that are gonna help me execute it? What are the resources that I need? What is the path that I need to take? And then I'm walking it out. And with that walking out thing, we have this thing where we operate in silos. Get rid of that. Like I don't
Mm.
operate in a silo. Like you have to find your tribe. When you're walking it out, God is gonna send you and align you with, I like to call them my roof crew. It's like if they have to get through the crowd, they're gonna by any means necessary lower me to where I need to be to get to Jesus. They're gonna sit there and they're gonna get me to what I need, like the vision or the healing, whatever it is. You need those people. You need those people when you're walking it out, those people that are going to hold you accountable to the call, the vision, the mission, the purpose that God has on your life. And they're going to hold you accountable to your action steps. You're not just going to sit idle. You got to put your feet to your faith. Like
Mm.
you gotta be able to walk it out. So like if I would say, anything to people, it's like it's pow. Profess it, own it, and walk it out.
Mm.
It's gonna be important. Like execution. It's one thing to have a vision and write it out. It's another thing to own it. But it's definitely a given when you execute it. And that goes back to your word of action. What are you doing it about it? And
I
how are you
love
going?
it. Again, they not like us, and we walking it out differently, right? Because it is all about execution. So drop
Yeah.
some gems, drop some fire emojis in the chat, because you have to profess it, right? That's an effective leadership strategy. You have to profess it, which is your vision. You have to own it, which is your action plan. And then you got to walk it out, right? You
Yes.
got to be able to walk it out, which is all about the execution of. Listen, this has been a powerful, powerful, powerful segment of the Powerhouse Leadership Series. I thank you for coming on. I
Yes.
appreciate you. I thank you to our viewers for joining us. Be sure to DM me, your number one goal achiever, and let's walk it out together. Thank you
Yes.
guys for
Thank
another
you.
segment of
Have a
Powerhouse
great day.
Leadership. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.